Right, guys, it's Bobby Wansley here. I've got the Edinburgh Derby podcast. It is your host. I'm with Adam Kennedy. I'm Rory Barraclough. How you doing, guys? You all right?
I hate Derby week, mate. It's only once the Derby's over and you haven't got beat that it's nice. Like Rory will be able to say exactly the same. It is a living hell. So the fact that we've got two in the space of a fortnight, I mean, I think Edinburgh's just going to be. It's as though Edinburgh's going to be in its own mini lockdown and everybody's just going to go off their nut. It is very tense. The tension is palpable, but I'm sure that all eyes will be on Edinburgh, which is quite nice.
Rory, the green corner. How are you feeling?
It's the nerves, and it starts so early in the week as well. As soon as you wake up on a Monday morning on Derby week, it feels like that. Hibs fans are a pessimistic bunch. We always have been, especially when it comes to derbies. So probably more fear than excitement. And having two in a week, it's mad. It's mad to think about. It makes this week a little bit weirder because this Saturday maybe isn't the biggest of the two now. It becomes a little bit more like, I wouldn't say a practice run, but all eyes are on that massive semi-final. So it's a really weird way to think about it.
Is this a bounce game or some sort?
The thing is, because of last week and because of the last few weeks, Hibs have made it really difficult for themselves. We need the 3 points now. We need them to stay in the top six. So you've still got to give everything to the game. But I think if you offered both of the games and you only could choose one to every Hibs and Hearts fan in the country, I reckon 95% of them would say it's got to be the semi-final. It's got to be the semi-final you want to win.
Adam, I mean, do you have a response to that?
No, I totally agree with that, which is bizarre because regardless of which Edinburgh team progresses to the final, they'll be seen as massive underdogs. It's just in the hope that on that one-off, we can repeat the feat of, 98, 2016, whatever. So
here we go, Rory. He's got the numbers out, the stats out already.
It was good of him to bring up 2016 and not 2012 because I thought that would have happened earlier on.
So. No. I'm merely talking, Edinburgh versus Glasgow, mate. I'll be meaner to you later on.
And this fixture, people might kill me for saying this, but to keep going with your bid for top six, you do need to win the game, right?
Yeah, well, it's become do or die for us. Points-wise in the top six. I mean, we're already talking about it in reference to the game the week after, the semi-final game. So people think it's the most important game, the semi. It is, but that doesn't mean that this isn't really important. If our league season is going to be saved, we have to win this match now. That's our own fault for losing and drawing some really poor games.
Yeah.
But this now becomes, you've got to go away to Tynecastle and get some points, which isn't a good position to be in because Hearts can almost, I doubt in the game they'll sit back, but they can almost sit back and think Hibs have to come to us and try and get points off us because I don't think a draw is good enough.
From what Rory's saying, right, he's got a point. He's put the foundations down. Hibs need to go to Tynecastle to win. To stay in the top six. Now, from the Hearts' perspective,
there is something about it which sort of screams back to Rory. Thank you for saying this. Hibs relegation party, and the last time that Hibs Tynecastle in a league match, needing a win, they passed up the chance to relegate Hearts, losing to a team of teens, and ended up getting relegated themselves. If we could repeat the feat, consign Hibs to the bottom six, keep the momentum going, pick up a massive morale boost ahead of the Hampden clash, that would be sensational. The cliche is anything can happen in a derby, but really, it is true, particularly when it comes to this fixture. Like you say, the fact that both previous meetings between the two in the league have remained goalless, you wouldn't have foreseen that. And even sort of the last game that did have goals, we were the championship team and the perceived underdogs against the supposed third best team in the country. So
a few uppercuts there, Rory. Rory, a few uppercuts there.
Look, it's one of those ones where we're going in as underdogs, according to the eyes of everyone else. Anyone who's a neutral onlooker sees Hibs as the underdogs. And I'm going to make two controversial claims here. And the first one is that I think Hibs, player for player, on paper, have a better team than Hearts. Player for player, they have more skill in that team. But I'd also say the second thing, which is they're a much worse team. They can't play together. Going forward, well, they can't play together in the way that they want to. We can't create at the moment. So all you need is for one game for it all to click.
You've hit him with a few uppercuts. You know, he's came back with a left hook and a right hook with his two statements. I mean, what's the response to that? Because the first statement Rory's made, is a very bold one. You know,
that is a very bold
I'm
one.
sure a few people will be coming out of Gorgie to argue with that. What's your response to that?
My response to that is, whilst I think Hibs have a couple talented players, do I think that any probably getting our first choice 11? Not particularly. I'm not having.
I mean, if you're looking at players, you're looking at Ryan Porteous would be in that team without a doubt.
Porteous is decent.
He's a really good player when he's on the pitch.
I was going to say, if he keeps the head, like him being a miss for Hibs is a massive benefit for us in this league game, and it's also a welcome boost. I think, regardless of the weekend's outcome, that he'll be back for Hampden from a Hibs perspective. I'll agree with you there.
100% leader on the pitch.
I think in the last Edinburgh derby, whilst it wasn't a great spectacle at Easter Road, Ryan Porteous would certainly be amongst the man of the match contenders and was probably Hibs' outstanding man on the night.
Does he get into the Hearts team?
Well, Craig Halkett's received a Scotland call-up.
You're not comparing Craig Halkett to Ryan Porteous.
He answered the question, Rory. He answered the question.
And John Souttar's moved on to Rangers, so when fully fit in a back four, no, he probably doesn't.
Okay, we heard it here first.
For the first time since I've ever supported them, have a really solid defence, conceding far fewer goals.
Yeah.
But now can't score, which has always been the opposite of what Hibs have been good at doing. So if we can find our feet, then you're going to look at a very good derby.
In third, for as long as we have been, I don't want to say that the squad already think that they've got it wrapped up, because I don't think that would be the mentality that Robbie Nielsen would try to implement. But when you're looking at it thinking we're 14 points ahead or whatever the gap is, you know, we're sort of in an awkward situation where we can't catch the Old Firm, but nobody below us can really get a run together to sort of, So we're in a bit of a tricky predicament, yet we've still not mathematically secured third yet, which is why this league's so weird for one. Weird and wonderful, I will say, simultaneously. But it's just a bit bizarre. And yet, as daft as it sounds, the third should be done. So then Rory's right in that this league match isn't exactly meaningless, but I think we'd happily chuck it if it meant progression in the cup, which again is bizarre because, like we've already alluded to, we're going to be underdogs in the final regardless of who we come up against. So it's been a bit of a headache, in all honesty, and I think performances have tailed off primarily because we've been out on our own, really.
Parts of the home team, Rory's mentioned it's tight, the crowd are onto the players. I've been at Tynecastle, you've been at Tynecastle, Rory, I'm probably sure you've been at Tynecastle. It can get a bit rowdy if, you know, the boys in maroon are not playing well. So Adam, before to conclude on this, if it's 0-0 in the first 20 minutes, is there going to be an uproar?
Not from me, but I can't guarantee that there might be some discontent. I think the beauty and sort of drawback to Tynecastle is that it's either heaven or hell, and there's no real middle ground.
Hibs are in a really weird position, not only because of all the injuries we've had, and that's partly because Sean Maloney likes signing really talented players who look promising but have injury problems. So we've got a squad of injured players. We've got a starting 11. I was looking at it a few weeks ago before some of the players came back. It was actually better than our starting 11, our injured 11, which was quite impressive. But we're in the weird position where we don't know what goalkeeper is going to start. And we don't know because Matt Macy has been number one all season. And then Kevin Dabrowski, obviously, came in, did really well against Hearts. Do you then take that kind of confidence that he had, he did fine at the weekend again, and play him against Hearts? because he was good in the last derby. So why wouldn't you play him in this one? If you play him in this one, do you play him in the Scottish Cup semi? He did, and I would say, here's what I'm thinking: he played him against Dundee United. He played him against Dundee United the week before, and I think that was to get him back thinking match fit and to play against ours. So
yeah, Matt Macy was really good at Tynecastle as well. So that's another.
That's
sort
true.
Of factor that
He
adds
was
into
right
the
at the start of the
selection
season.
game. Yeah,
it was another game where the keepers were outstanding. Both Craig Gordon and Matt Macy had really good one-on-one saves and things. So,
what would you do, Rory? Who would you pick?
It's a really difficult question. Do you know what? I'm going to go Kevin. I'm going to go Kevin because he played last week and because he played in that last derby. I think he's a really talented player. He's been at the club for years and years as well. Safe pair of hands.
Robbie Nielsen's outlasted 3 managers, if you want to include David Gray. Just a quick 60 seconds from both of you. Adam, I'm going to come to you. What do you actually expect from Robbie from now to the end of the season and then next season?
I'm not sure about now until the end of the season, but I think what I would expect from Robbie Nielsen is results. Primarily,
because I mean, historically, Adam, he's always 2 games away from the sack. If you go by, what you read.
That's just some of the nutters in our support, mate. I mean, don't get me wrong. Last season during the championship, it was an absolute slog, and there were times where I was questioning, like, how can this possibly go any further? So it's a good thing that, again, I'm just a fan and not in that boardroom. Otherwise, I'd have probably given him the roulette.
Did you hire your plane? Did you hire a plane during the championship season?
Adam, Hearts backed their manager. Why didn't Hibs? Respectively.
Hibs and Jack Ross, I find a weird one. Jack Ross guided Hibs to their first third-place finish in something like 16 years, albeit they lost that cup final, like you say, and again lost out in the League Cup semi-final against St Johnstone twice. Why they're so insistent on a style of play when they're getting results, and he's led them to their best league finish in, like I say, I think it was about 16 years or something.
Adam, pause.
Genuinely
Rory,
astounds me.
answer. Why?
Well, for exactly the same reason that Robbie Nielsen will lose his job faster than other managers if he starts losing games, which is that the quality of the football you're watching isn't great. And while you're getting results, that's fine. That's grand. Everyone loves it. You get 1-0 wins, nobody cares. But when you start losing 1-0 and your team's playing like that, it's not as fun. And it's not. I mean, I wouldn't have sacked him before a cup final. I think it's a bit weird. I think it's kind of mad, actually.
Very strange timing.
Especially when he got it. I mean, the league was a completely separate thing from the cup. Loads of people have said it before. You've had those seasons where the cup seems like when you go into the cup, you kind of enter some sort of different world where you can have a terrible season, but you're playing really well in the cup. It's just how it goes. But I'd have let him play that cup final. I really would have. But it's the same thing for Robbie Nielsen. Robbie Nielsen's only 2 issues have ever been kind of questions of the quality of the football he's playing, and the derby record, which is massive for Hearts fans. Hearts fans have a big obsession about always winning them, whereas Hibs have always wanted to win them. But if you look at the derby record, no Hibs fan can deny it. Hearts have a better derby record. Even in season where Hibs have been the better team, under Mowbray, finishing 3rd, but still losing derbies. It's happened many, many times. So for a Hearts manager to lose derbies, Hearts fans don't accept it very much. And I think that's what happened with Jack Ross. He was losing games, and we weren't seeing fight in big games in derbies. He lost a League Cup, a semi-final against Hearts. He lost a League Cup semi-final against St Johnstone, and he lost the Scottish Cup final against St Johnstone, all in pretty unimpressive circumstances. So it was probably that led to it. Whereas Hearts have stuck with their man who is getting them results.
Quickly, I hate asking this question, but I'm going to ask. Score predictions. Adam, sharp.
2-0 Hearts.
Ooh, clean sheet. Ooh. Look at Rory's face. Rory, over to you.
A surprise last-minute 2-1 win for Hibs.
Oh.
Tops off and over to the away stand.
Oh, I like it. Guys, you've both been gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Please follow these guys respectively. Adam, if you can just tell the guys where they can be able to find you.
They can get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendall, and for all my heart stuff, it's at Perth to Paisley on all the socials.
And yourself, Rory?
It's at Rory Barra Club or at Rory Barra, depending on what socials you're on. So Instagram, Twitter, anything like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining me.